All set? All right. The time is now 6:30. I'm going to call to order the
Oh, I got something going on here.
notice public hearing for the Tilton Planning Board on Tuesday, May 28, 2013.
Wait a second. Hang on.
Something going on here. One of my
Technical
lights is going
difficulties.
Crazy. I don't know where it is.
Just switching back to the intro.
Yeah, it's weird. It's going crazy here.
I saw that. Perhaps we should update from cassette tapes.
I don't know. It's just going crazy.
Going crazy.
Yeah, it's not. It's got. I get lights. Too many lights.
Meet you too.
It's on mic.
That's exactly it. There she is.
Unplug something over here and plug it back in.
This is normal. Record. It's saying it's recording, so I don't know. Go ahead. We'll see what we got here.
Never start over?
No, just go ahead.
All right.
Continue.
Continuing on, it's 6:30. Our first topic of discussion is a conceptual discussion of the Tilton School for an athletic field.
Okay, great. My name is Peter Saliba. I'm the head of school up at Tilton School, and we have been lucky that we've had an alum give us a sum of money that's restricted to the building of an artificial turf field on a piece of property that's contiguous to campus. And for a number of years, we have had a piece of property that's locally known as the Lawrence property, at least we've known it. And this is Pillsbury Lane on the southern part here. And so we've been working with a designer to give us a preliminary design for the turf field. And so we wanted to have a discussion with you folks to see if we were barking up the right tree in terms of moving this forward. This is something that's been on the school's mind for a number of years. I know my predecessor, Jim Clements, first started talking about this at some length many years ago, and so that's why we're here. I've got three people with me. I have Nathan Collins from RAD Designs and Susan Moan from our engineering firm of Crow & Associates, and Beth Sheen, who is our CFO as well. So I thought it might be good for Susan to take us through sort of the bigger pieces for the conceptual piece. Susan?
I'd like to orient you first to the property that we're looking at for the fields. The main part of the campus is located south of the Lawrence property. This is School Street, as Peter said. This is Pillsbury Lane. This is Prospect Street. The parcel that we call the Lawrence property encompasses approximately that area. There are wetlands that exist, wetland soil, shall I say, that have been mapped and surveyed that exist in the northern part of the site. You'll see with a little blue line that comes into the site. So that area has wetland soils existing. The high point on the site is up at this corner, and it drops at about anywhere 8 to 12% slope from this high point down to this low point where there's an existing pond and culvert that goes underneath School Street. It's primarily open. There's an existing house that Tilton now owns that will be demolished for the construction of the fields. Tilton owns this house, which will remain in the course of the project. So currently what's anticipated is possibly construction of a first phase, which would consist of the field, hopefully bleachers, and a new retaining wall at this end where the grade is going to be cut down to create the field, and a retaining wall at this end, the north end of the field. So the field is sloping at approximately .0075, so it's quite flat. It's proposed as an artificial turf field, which Nathan can get into further details about the materials that would be employed for the field. Basically, that was the game plan for the first phase. The rest of the development proposed consists of tennis courts, a parking area of about 27 cars. Of course, the field would hopefully be in place and used. And then I spoke with Dennis Allen and about the possibility of creating along Pillsbury Lane 2 pull-off areas here and here, where buses, when they come for these NCAA tournaments on the fields and on the tennis courts, the buses could pull off to the side of Pillsbury Lane, and the students can come off into a walkway system that would connect them to the courts and to the field. As I mentioned, it is an NCAA planned development of field and courts. We would anticipate probably a detention area of some size about this end of the lower end of the site that would take the runoff from the parking area. And in all cases, the 20-foot setbacks along the property line for structures has been respected, as well as the 20-foot setback, no disturbance, no grading zone from the edge of the wetland soils. And the fields are oriented at optimum location, north-south. Tennis courts, again, oriented so that it works with the field and with the parking areas. And I think that's pretty much the sum of the proposed project upon its completion.
I just want to add, we've had a preliminary conversation with our abutter on the corner here,
Right here.
and that's Mr. Jones, and he's aware of the project at this point. I've tried to reach out to all the neighbors in anticipation of this.
Do you anticipate, sorry. Spaced it. Do you anticipate any lights on that field?
We've talked about that possibility. We're aware of the Dark Skies initiative in Tilton, so this phase does not call for a specific lighting plan at this point. I haven't studied it closely, but my interpretation of the Dark Skies means no lights. Is that a fair assumption?
Yeah, I mean, I'm just thinking of the neighbors to the left that aren't really listed there. If there were lights. There's a house that's kind of just on the corner
Here.
there, and then there's
I think there are a couple.
there's 2 or 3,
Yeah.
maybe 4 houses
Yes.
on that side.
On that side of Prospect, yeah.
Yeah,
You know,
across the street.
and I just,
Right. Yeah.
If we were to, I think in terms of long-term planning, the school envisions the potential to have athletic field lighting on that site, but as part of this first phase, which is kind of maybe something to elaborate on a little more, is that we would simply go forward with just the field and the bleachers. And really, it's a timing thing. One of the reasons why we're in front of you tonight is the school, and correct me if I'm wrong, would like to possibly put a shovel in the ground as early as late summer. Try to get as much work done this construction season, and possibly have that field completed for spring sports next year. They understand that if they did go forward with some type of lighting, that would surely require a site plan review in front of this board. But what they're trying to achieve now is, again, meeting with you preliminarily, respecting all the setbacks associated with your structures, to try to get this first phase moving forward.
Which would be this.
Which would be, again, simply the the synthetic turf field,
And the
bleaching
retaining walls.
component.
And the retaining walls will be required.
I have a question regarding the bleachers you have in there have a capacity of how many seats? You have 27 parking spot area. For your grand plan, if all of that area was in use, 27 parking spaces, even with buses in there, isn't gonna be enough to handle spectators and kids, event participants. It sounds like a fairly small amount of parking for
How much
guests,
parking
family
do you
members,
have?
etc.
Off Pillsbury behind the gym, there's a parking lot there, correct?
Yes.
There's a parking lot behind the gym, but also we have, this field would be used in the fall and spring. And we anticipate using all of the hockey parking that we have during the winter as a place for cars in that area. We thought about that one in terms of the parking, and since the rink is seasonal, it's not open 12 months of the year, we were thinking that we could utilize that parking area.
Is this space big enough to, for a football field?
Yes,
Yes.
the field as shown would accommodate all of your rectangular sport fields, both men's and women's soccer, both men's and women's lacrosse, football, and potentially field hockey.
And how soon are you thinking in terms of having facilities for the students to clean up and so forth?
Like locker room?
Locker rooms, yeah.
Right across
Right here.
Pillsbury Lane is our existing gym.
Okay.
So we're not anticipating building an existing
Right
locker room
here.
structure.
That exists,
Right.
essentially that exists already.
It exists.
Correct.
Yes.
And then it's another reason why the Tilton School has looked at this site as an ideal location for a contiguous athletic field versus now they carpool or walk down to their existing facilities. That's a quarter mile?
A little more.
Yeah, a little more than a quarter
Down
mile
to
from
the
their,
fields and
from their campus,
Yeah.
so.
My concern would be Pillsbury itself, because when you have two cars on that road, it's tight. So with a bus and traffic, that's my only concern honestly, is that road already, you have people parked against the school, which, is parking. But boy, when you get two cars, sometimes that's a tough one. And that intersection right there is tough if you're coming down school, trying to take a right onto it, and somebody's coming out. So that's something to really be thinking about, the best
The
methodology.
intersection at the southeastern part of the property, yes.
Yeah, that one can be a
Those
little
sight lines
sketchy.
are,
Well, both ends really, because the left side you have,
Yeah.
I mean, I want to say there's a house directly across the street from that.
Yes, there is.
And, I'd be nervous about their thought of having buses in their front yard and, making that turn going down the hill to the traffic light.
It's just a
I live
very
near there, so I pass that every
very
day,
narrow street.
and I live on Cedar Street, so I come out on, what is it, Prospect Pleasant? I always forget the name of the street there, but I saw you guys, cut the trees down and, like, oh, they must be starting already, so then I saw this, so, and,
well, we're not starting already.
no, but I mean, you cleared the trees around the house up there, so.
We did that, that Lawrence property house is,
The fire department uses it all the time for training.
they do, and also it's a structure that's unoccupied,
Yeah.
and I'm responsible for 250 teenagers.
Oh, I know.
Unoccupied house, within 50 feet of my campus, it makes me nervous.
Oh, no.
I've been there for a long time, long before you came.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think with the point about the street being narrow, that's a concern that I've had of mine, even with that current butter that's been.
And even with the pull-offs for the buses, so that gets tight in there.
Yeah, I think we have to make those pull-offs a true pull-off
Right.
for it actually to work.
Right.
In that scenario.
Could you?
When you talked to Dennis, what did he say?
He seemed to be in support of it.
Okay.
And he said, be sure you mention it to the board that you had talked to me, and he didn't seem to think that would be an obstacle.
Right.
I mean, we've
So
known for
it is something we
15
would
years that
study.
fields were going in.
Right.
This isn't a surprise.
Yeah.
No, it's not.
That's always been the plan for that area.
Jim told me, he's like, they won't be surprised.
All the abutters up there actually have discussed, that's going to be a field.
And once the house is down, I think it will open things up too. I mean, right
Right,
now, the
yes.
house is massive,
Mm-hmm,
and, you know, it extends quite far back.
it does.
So I think once that comes down, it will be easier to see what the going to be like. It's deceptive now, I think, because of the house.
Now, looking through our, the lighting here, it would seem to me from the things that I've read in here that, yes, we have, put things as far as, you know, the New Mexico night sky protection, but it also does go on and it talks about lighting at night and times that the lighting will be off unless there's special, you know, fields or court or tracks are permitted until 11:30 or whenever they conclude, depending on the schedule. So, you know, it's, I don't think this, as a board, that we have restricted or prevented lighting from being there, but we're trying to keep the light on the site, and as soon as you don't need it, to turn the lights out. That's primarily what we're,
Nate, we had a preliminary discussion about lighting. I think Nathan can share a little bit about some potential ways
Sure.
of managing that.
In terms of planning and scoping and also budgeting, we've looked at the Musco Athletic Field lighting system, which is, again, in our opinion, the most sophisticated system that is on the market. When I first had read your bylaws in terms of the Dark Skies Initiative and, you know, 90 full cutoff fixtures, it doesn't exist in athletic field lighting. Just because you can't get directly over your field for a full cutoff unless you're in a dome, and I don't think anyone wants to build a dome on this field. So we typically design using Musco. It's an American-based company out of Muscatine, Iowa. All of their fixtures come with full hoods and reflector protection within their actual fixture. And we're a little tight on that corner, but they can do aiming and also adjust the heights or numbers of your poles to essentially achieve full cutoff at the property line, which is what you're trying to achieve. You're making sure you're not, you know, lighting up the people across the street. And what they would do is, pre-existing condition, they would do a light study along the property line, and that would be the basis of their design. So if they're today, you know, I don't know where the streetlights are located, but if there's 3-foot candles in his front property, they would design it to make sure that there's 3-foot candles post-construction. It's sometimes misleading because you'll have neighbors come out and say, well, when I look up, I can see, and, you know,
Well,
not really.
I was just thinking of that. I mean, that's the highest spot in the area out there.
Right.
And, you know, I mean, I just noticed with the trees gone, I mean, it's, you know, going all the way down, you know,
Right.
all the way down that street, you can see, you know, and I envisioned it with lights, and I thought, okay.
Yeah, and that's.
Especially like on a cloudy night, or you get a little fog in there, you know, you're playing a late game or
Yep.
something that's foggy out, you know, light travels in the fog, unbelievable.
Well, that's what's always tough, again, when you read a bylaw and you follow all the rules and you know, obey the bylaw, but you still have the human nature that says, well, when I look up in the sky, I can see the light. And that's where it can get, you know, a lot of the back and forth. So that I think we don't necessarily have time for that at this phase. And that's why, you know, Tilton School doesn't anticipate doing it in this first go-around. They might put the infrastructure in, the conduits, just because it'll be a tough area to access after the fact. And then with the understanding that we would be back in front of the board to make that argument, you know, articulate that argument a little better when we do cross that bridge. Because it's also it's a number item as well. They're not inexpensive.
right. But it's also a site that lends itself to, while the games are on, the lights are on, when the games are off, they're not, or maybe a
Certainly.
lighter here or there.
Yes, I mean,
for security.
I don't want to speak for Peter, but I don't anticipate that the Tilton School, if they have lights, intends to be having games at 11:30 at night. They're still, you know, an academic
Right.
first institution. So
Right.
what we oftentimes do with other towns or schools is we work out an MOU, you know, with the planning board specific nights, no weekend, or however that works out. And certainly, I think the school would be interested in broaching that subject when that formal submission would be made.
What would be done to prevent parking on Pleasant, on Prospect Street? Is Prospect, God, help me.
Pillsbury?
No,
Prospect.
over here, I just
Right.
say, okay, well, there's 27,
Sure.
there's 27 spots here, I can't get a spot here, I don't know where to go, I'll just go around the corner and I'm gonna park in a residential neighborhood now.
I think, I just have two responses for that. I think first, if you are south of Pillsbury on Prospect, that's so steep, I don't think anyone's gonna wanna park there. And then I think an issue that you're pointing out is on the east side of Prospect, past the corner of the field, it's flat in there.
Right.
And I have no problem working very closely with Bobby in making sure that anyone who gets there gets a ticket and gets towed. I mean, our relationship with our neighbors, I believe, is excellent right now, and I would not want anyone to be parking in those areas. So I would feel strongly about making sure that we're a good neighbor on that piece. I mean, I don't know what I can post, but certainly.
Bike strips.
Yeah. But Bobby's great. I mean, he comes up to campus and he'll stick a note on someone's car with his card,
Yeah.
and that solves the problem pretty quickly.
And I know we seem to have a little concern with that turn thing. Is there a way, and I'm just throwing ideas out there to see what sticks, but is there a way to, that big back parking lot behind the gym right now, where you have all the buses parked?
Yep.
Is there a way to connect that to Pillsbury so that the buses don't necessarily have to go through the residential neighborhood, but can go through back behind the gym and out your main driveway and then down School Street?
I think there is a curb cut down there.
There's no curb,
Or is
no.
that
Oh,
the
I think
faster
there
curb?
might be a curb cut there now.
Is that
There is,
part of
yeah, I
it?
think
Yeah,
there is.
right.
I think there is.
Over on the gym, yeah, I think
Yeah, I
there is.
believe you do
can
have
get-
access.
There's one here.
Yeah,
There's access there.
Yep.
I think there is.
yeah.
They can, actually, they do that now. When we loaded the
Yeah, I
buses
think
for the
they can
prom,
come in and
they
do
came
that.
up that way.
Yeah.
So yes, they don't need to go down Prospect Street. The buses can come in,
Yeah.
and then all of our athletic buses park behind the gym right now, so they can
Right.
just take a.
Well, I see the buses are, I mean, as I said, I walk my dog through your campus all the time, so.
Don't say that.
Do you,
want
do you have plastic bags?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You're talking to the doggy poop police here, so don't worry.
So yeah, the buses, actually, that's a great point. The buses don't have to go on Prospect Street. They can just peel off there.
Well, it's not just that, but, there's little kids that play there, and, it's a hill, and, if, heaven forbid, it snows in May, they don't sand the road necessarily, and someone goes down that road or something like that. And I'm just trying to keep the neighborhood a little.
No, I think that's an excellent point. The buses do turn off that way currently, so we could definitely enforce that.
What is that zone right now, anyways?
Village,
Yeah, village, VR?
yes, village residence.
Yes.
So they have to get a variance for that?
So you just do your field work
Yep.
We have enough money right now for the field.
$1.3 million for Mr. Burke.
Yep. No library. Hadn't heard of Tory Burch before, but now I know it very well.
And since this is on tape, we think.
Oh boy, don't quote me on that.
Will be in the minutes.
So you want
But
to.
would that be considered a special exception for that?
For the field?
Yeah, recreation, it's a privately owned outdoor recreational facility.
Page you on, Eric.
I'm on page 71, appendix B.
Yes, it could, if you look at it as the privately owned outdoor recreational, then yes, it would be a special exception. in the village residential. But you can also see, and this is why if you go up there to public and institutional, the schools, whether they're all permitted in there.
It's not building a school, it's building athletics.
I
For
know,
a
but it's
school.
all part of the
Outside
school
the building.
grounds.
Or I'm just-
It's all part of the school grounds.
What about PA systems?
That's a good question. We don't utilize PA systems now for our sports, with the exception of our football team. So our boys and girls soccer and field hockey, we don't use PA systems. The football,
Anticipating this will be used for football, I mean.
it would be, as the head of school, everyone has already asked me which team gets this field. And the answer has been everyone, because I'm gonna rotate everyone through for the first couple of years.
Well, you're not gonna kill the grass, that's for sure.
Yeah. So we haven't thought about a PA system. I have not, Nathan probably has, I have not thought about a PA system. If we do, currently, it's only our football team that uses the PA system. And at least for this first year, they might have 1 or 2 games based on the rotation of that facility.
There's another question about scoreboarding too. Did I mention that?
What's that?
Oh, you're gonna have a field there, you're gonna have scoring.
Yeah, scoreboard.
Yeah,
What's
we
the
would have
sign, the signage for scoreboards?
Mhm.
I'm not sure if we placed the scoreboard
We
yet.
have not. It's included in our budget, but we have not finalized the location of where that scoreboard
Okay.
will go.
I think across behind those 3 little trees on the left, so it's not facing the neighborhood. I might need to-
Yeah, and again, keep it, this is very preliminary in terms of the proposed landscaping. Certainly, any structures that we build, if they're an eyesore, we can certainly mask them with landscape screening. But if, you know, the bleachers are here, they, you know, probably one of these corners or on the opposite side of the field.
I think something like a scoreboard is a safety issue too. I mean, if it's lighted, you know, we're getting into a lot of different things in terms of where it's placed.
Mhm.
These tennis courts, I mean, how far down the road do you see those? Is that like a 2015 thing, or is that a 2014, or?
Yeah, that's a function of, again, donors.
Donations.
Okay, so the field, it's just, the 1.3 is for the field, that's it.
Yeah, if someone walks in and say, here's another $1 million, and I'm gonna restrict it to tennis courts, then I'll be back in front of you. I'm not, I don't anticipate that.
But the parking lot's going into this phase.
I
No.
This is the second
Phase
phase.
two.
Okay.
That's the
Yeah,
first phase.
yeah.
is
This
gonna
is
be-
literally what
That's
we
literally the first phase,
anticipate.
right there.
Yeah.
Retaining walls, field, bleachers, you know, maybe a gravel path or a bituminous pathway to take you from the street to the bleachers, but parking in the courts were anticipated for the second phase.
What about the pull-offs for the buses?
Second phase, really good, but, you know, that's something, we anticipated that second phase, but we might,
You might be able to sneak that in, just the bus pull-offs.
Mm-hmm.
That's not gonna be a huge number
Right.
for us.
I'm just thinking so that you don't have buses taking up most of Pillsbury Lane, you know, where are you going to keep them?
What's your attendance at a football game now? I mean, honestly, I've never been to a football game down there, but I've been to the facility when it's being used by the local towns, and, you know, it's tight for parking.
Most of our, I would say, because we're a boarding school, most of our students are boarding students. We don't get a huge turnout for our football games.
Maybe homecoming weekend.
That is one time when we do have a large turnout. So I'm, you know, maybe 50 to 100 people might turn up for a football game. We certainly don't have any crowd control issues.
No. But, you know, where it's more centralized, it might create more local interest and things like that, and you might get more students there, so now,
Well, what's great is the students just walk across the street from their
yeah,
dorm.
they don't have cars, so it's,
Thank goodness.
Yeah.
They don't have cars that we know about.
That's a good point.
But I think right now, we anticipate what we have for our budget right now is exactly what you see.
And I would say in the event of larger games, homecoming, certainly working with the fire department, there's probably ways that you could put up, like sawhorses or do not enter barriers at each end, and limited, obviously in the case of an emergency, you could just remove those and get an ambulance or a fire truck within there. Certainly that's something I think you could plan for in the event of a larger homecoming event, to limit that concern with traffic in that area. Because as Peter noted, you know, you're gonna get a lot of foot traffic
Right.
back and forth across the street as well, so, in your larger sporting events, that certainly, I think, could be something that could be worked out.
would that be accessible for an emergency vehicle?
Oh, sure, yes.
You know, like an ambulance, if you had to bring an ambulance out into a field because of a severe injury.
Yep.
So,
Yeah, these fields they're constructed on, depending on the soils, you know, 8 to 10 inches of gravel, so vehicles can drive right on it. Some of our clients plow their fields.
Some bring in a John Deere sweeper.
That was,
Sorry. Sports spot.
It's quite an undertaking, isn't it?
1.3 doesn't get you what it used to.
Yep.
Yeah,
cost for the riverfront park?
Wow,
the
just
carpet,
soccer.
the actual carpet itself is
It's huge.
not inexpensive.
Probably 40% of your budget right
Very accurate, yes.
Any other questions?
I think we would just like to confirm that with moving forward with the field, the bleachers, and the 2 retaining walls, and they're gonna be probably in the neighborhood of 10-ish feet, because we're cutting this end of the field, we're raising that
Plateauing.
end of the field. Is any site plan review required for this?
What's the wetland situation back there?
It's wetland soils, and we're respecting the 20-foot setback, so we won't be disturbing within that 20-foot setback.
there. Can I throw a knuckleball at you? What if you turn the field?
So, no, that's a great knuckleball. The problem arises when you're playing on the field and the sun is setting.
Solar orientation.
Yeah.
So,
Poor.
Well, I know you stress north-south. As I said, I live in the neighborhood, so I know
Yeah.
it's a great spot to go for
Yeah,
sunset.
we did look at that, but
I stood
It's-
on the field in the goal mouth,
Yeah.
facing west, and the sun is right in your eye.
Yeah.
And that's a safety concern.
If you
Well,
let us
no,
put the
it's-
lights up now, we can just play all our games at night.
Oh wait, so there is money for lights. Oh, that's
No, we did explore that, but orientation-wise, and spatial
this is
constraints.
optimum
Yeah.
orientation.
The
How-
wetlands kind of threw us off. We weren't anticipating the wetlands to be this far,
Yeah.
I guess, south on the site, but based
what
on
would the height of that retaining wall be? Is it, you're talking 5 to 6 feet,
Yeah,
10 feet?
10.
So you're,
10-ish, 12-ish.
So that, I mean, even looking west on the field, the trees will be, I'm just visualizing.
Yep, this corner is gonna get cut down,
Yeah.
that corner is gonna get raised up.
Because from here to here, that is a 20-foot grade change. So we're basically
Yeah.
splitting the difference, 10 and 10.
Yeah.
That's our goal.
So
Try to
take the dirt
balance
from
it.
one end and push it to the other
Correct.
end.
That's right.
And you're
Exactly.
putting in a drainage, a retention area and stuff for the drainage?
That would come in the second phase.
That's in phase 2.
Yeah.
Okay.
So how will this field drain out now?
just an under drain.
Yeah, these,
System.
typically these fields, again, the gravel below it is a porous gravel. It's not like a crusher run or dense grade material that you would put under our roadway. It's a blend of 3/4 to 3-inch stone that actually everything drains vertically into some type of collection system, or in the case of, we have completed a geotechnical report. I haven't combed through it in too much detail, but depending on the soils, we'll determine what we're dealing with in terms of runoff. And we are going to have to go through the permitting process with the state, where we'll have to do a full stormwater report
Yeah,
that manages all that. But every site is different. I've designed fields that they don't have an inch of drainage underneath, everything just drains vertically. And then I've designed some fields where we put an impervious liner and collected it all.
Well, I noticed that sometimes in the spring, the top left, that corner up there seems to stay wet a long time.
This one here?
Yeah, well, more on Prospect, it just seems like it stays wet an awfully long time. You know, particularly in the spring. It's just, even last year when we didn't have much of a winter, it just seemed to stay wet an awful lot. And I'm just talking like, you know, puddles that you'd think would go away, and you go, gee, we haven't had rain for a week, and there's still a puddle
Yeah.
here. So,
I think that area, there's a lot of shade in that side of the site.
well, not now.
Now there isn't. I think before that area may have stayed frozen for a little while longer than the other side, which prevented a lot of that water to infiltrate. But we'll have the ability now, by taking a lot of this material and moving it north, that we'll almost be able to create with the fill that we bring in, or to create a kind of a more pervious type base for that field.
The airplane's still in that little shed.
I believe it's gone now. Sorry.
I park it in and down there all the time, and we have no trouble with the
No, I just,
being wet, so.
yeah. Are they gonna do a practice burn on that when you take it down, or?
You know, we looked at the practice burn, and it's actually cheaper to have someone come in and salvage the house. And I've spoken with the Lawrences. They've been through the property one more time to take stuff out, but then we've got someone who's gonna dismantle it.
Is there any historical significance to the house, or is there?
Not that we can find. Not that we can find. I've talked a lot with Kevin about using this practice burn. In the end, it wasn't gonna make sense.
Because you have to pay somebody to come in to check for asbestos and leaded paint.
Well,
You
actually,
have to have DES involved, and you have
Yeah.
to pay a fine and a permit fee, and I know, I'm trying to get something destroyed, so it's just a little shed.
They don't get my kind of.
Let's have a cookout.
Well, no, I thought that would be a good thing.
Kevin also said January would be a great time to burn it down.
Kevin.
Kevin LaChapelle.
Oh.
Yep, Fire Chief of Franklin.
And
He's the
he,
Franklin Fire Chief.
and he said June is not such a great time. No.
April's ideal. He's actually one of the people I was thinking about when it comes to lighting his yard, and
I see him every morning at about 5:30 walking his dog, yeah.
and I see him maybe when he's 7-10 driving his kids to school. So I just know he's one of the neighbors there, but you have other neighbors that I'm concerned about that are up there,
Yeah,
you know.
yeah.
So as Nathan said, we will be getting from the state a terrain alteration
Right.
permit. So I guess we're just trying to focus in on what permits are required locally as we move ahead, so we can plan on time for all. Pressure's on us.
I'm still not sure if this is a school thing or is this a privately owned recreation facility. That's my only,
Is it open to the public?
Our facilities are open by permission currently.
Right.
So we've got people who request to come in and sign a waiver.
But this is being built for
For the
the use
school.
of the schools.
It's being built for the school, yes.
Right.
Yeah, I would,
School, not-
again,
But then it's privately owned.
not trying to, I
But they're
believe,
still exempt.
my interpretation of a privately owned would be a private for-profit.
Recreation,
type of
that's-
soccer
that would be
complex
my-
or
yeah.
Hockey rink.
That would be my interpretation too.
Right.
Mm.
Health club, tennis club.
An health club in too?
Great.
Open to the public? Even more so, it's
Who
privately
is
owned.
that, Jim?
It's not like it's the town of Tilton building, it's the Tilton school building, which makes
Well-
it privately owned, and just,
It certainly is the board's prerogative if you want them to go to the ZBA to get a special exception.
well, I'm just thinking of potential litigation down the road, if someone is peeved that there's a thing there, they say, well, it's not allowed in town zoning.
No, there's absolutely no reason, I mean, the way our zoning is written, it leaves a lot to be desired. You know, it's like we should go back through here on some of these permitted and non-permitted uses and go through and make them more clear as to what we're talking about. I mean, if you want to say that because it's a privately owned outdoor recreational facility, that's really what you consider. Do you consider a football field an outdoor recreation facility?
So I can't think
I
of it,
don't.
it's more recreation than a football field.
Oh, it's
then.
recreational, but whether I would call it a facility or not, I mean, I think of, you know, like you can go down to Hooksett and they have several fields and they have houses, or buildings in there also to go in and change and wash up and, you know, get cleaned up, and they have
Like Otter
benches.
Lane.
You know, and there's also little food courts in there. And it's all a big open thing that the town has down there. Now that to me would be, except in that case, it's a municipal. But that would be an outdoor recreational facility. That encompasses everything.
Yeah, but
So-
I'm just thinking, but they're playing phase two makes this more of a definite recreation.
Phase two, definitely, I have no issue with that. I think they need to come in and do a site plan because we're gonna wanna look at the parking. We're gonna wanna look at lighting. You know, and just the general safety aspects of it to make sure everything is in place. Not that I have any doubts about, you know, I've been part of a lot of the building, that has taken place over at Tilton School over the years, and I mean, I have total confidence that what is done is going to be done correctly. But it's still on the town's aspect to do our due diligence, to know that what they're going to do, we want to see the site plan when it comes to phase two. Phase one, I would say to you, it's not really a big deal. It's part of it. It's a special exception. There is a page in our zoning that says what you have to meet for a special exception. And Augusta can get you right on to see the board.
Well, I'm just concerned that, you know,
Oh, no, I'm not saying you shouldn't do it.
Yeah, I just think, I guess it's CYA, let's make sure that, you know, some neighbors and, you know, all of a sudden you're about to lay the turf down and some neighbor decides to sue and say, wait a minute, this is now not permitted in town things, and I guess we have to be worried about that.
Well, then they go and see the ZBA and they get their special exception, and that would really cover everything you want to do. Not just the field, it would also include the tennis courts. But that would be the way you would fill out the application. Go for the whole picture, and, you know, then when you're before the ZBA, you're just going to explain this is phase one, this is phase two. And, you know, that way, when you walk out, you know, once you meet the criteria for a special exception, then that part of it, once it's resolved, it would be finished. So,
Great idea.
mm,
It is.
Yeah.
You're bound to get a stickler somewhere along the line.
Right.
but this is for your protection too.
My other question is, do they have to come in for phase one to do a full site plan with a chance to notify butters, or? Because, I mean, I don't know, I just see, you know, it's all wakes up one day and all of a sudden they're putting a soccer field in their front yard or their side yard, or, I'm just, I don't know, if it was me, if I lived there, I'd wanna know.
Well, I guess, I mean, what my personal opinion is I don't personally see where it's necessary. They're putting in a field. When a farmer reclaims a field and turns it over and redoes it and everything to make a corn, or grow corn or whatever, does he have to come in and do a site plan because he's tearing up that field?
No, but he's tearing down a house, he's cutting down trees, he's gonna remove the earth, and he's gonna put a soccer field in.
Well, first of all, to take down a house does not require a site plan.
No, but I mean.
That's a demo permit from our building inspector.
Right, but there's gonna be a soccer field,
Mm-hmm.
and it's gonna be, you know, noise created that might affect the neighbors, and
Well, I guess
Not
really,
phase one, is it?
phase one is just the field.
Yeah.
well, there's still gonna be noise, there's
Well,
gonna be
when
kids
you play
screaming.
there? There's kids there now.
There's no kids there now.
Well,
It's a meadow.
yeah, but the kids, they plant,
Yeah.
they garden over there.
They're
I
not
mean,
cheering on, that's what he's talking about, they're not cheering
Oh,
on their
okay.
team and stuff. They're
Well-
not cheering on their vegetables.
I guess I would say to you is, you're the chairman, is that what you wanna do?
I think just to be fair to the neighbors, I guess. And I'm not trying to be difficult in any way, I think this is a great idea. 'Cause-
Then why don't we have them site plan everything? We'll be site planning if they do unless they're not gonna be ready. But if you site plan the whole project, this will be phase one, this will be phase two. I mean, you could do that, or you can do the site plan on just the field alone, and then they'd still have to come back. That would be, I guess, up to them. I don't know how close they are to having a final site plan of what they wanna do.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just more concerned about the neighbors, I'm thinking of protecting our neighbors.
Mm-hmm.
And I think they may not know
That's right.
what's going in there.
Will they be notified in the
For the zoning, they will be, yeah.
in the ZBA?
Yeah.
Well, I think that's,
So I was thinking if they could be notified through that process, it could be, presented and discussed.
They shouldn't be surprised.
yeah,
And they
Right
shouldn't
down
be
the road.
I would, I guess, I think the first clarification that we would need, and I don't know if this board can make that decision, is whether this is an allowable use or whether or not we're gonna have to obtain special exception from the ZBA.
According to our zoning, it says privately owned outdoor facilities require a special exception in the district that this is in
Okay,
the VR.
okay. So the board is determining this as a privately owned outdoor recreation.
That's the way
facility.
he's looking at it, yes.
Okay. So I guess there's potential that we can go in front of the ZBA and not be granted our special exception. So
I would say.
it's an important determination, I guess, is what I'm asking.
Right, well, I would say to you, unless you just don't do what, we have one whole page in here that just goes over the points to get a
Sure.
special. Unless you just ignore it all and don't do your homework, there's no reason why you shouldn't get a special exception. A special exception is something it's just to look at, and the criteria that you have to meet are all listed there. It's not like a variance where, a variance is a little harder because,
Understood. Yeah.
but a special exception, in all the years that I've been connected with the town, I only know of one special exception that was turned down, and that's because of the flippant attitude and the fact that they didn't come in prepared to do it.
Right.
But once they found out it wouldn't get them anywhere and they got themselves prepared, then they eventually did get it. So,
Is it something that we can confer with our legal counsel just to get their opinion?
you can certainly do that if you want to.
Well, I mean, to save them the painful, I just want to,
You want to cut and dry.
yeah, to me, it's not a school, it's a soccer field. and
Yeah,
it's-
have you considered that we are
I
a
think it's a school.
not-for-profit organization, that we are a
Right.
501c3? So we work in direct mission of the school, and I don't know if that has any exceptions in the town bylaw. Probably not, but that is how we are organized. We're not like allowed to make,
Right.
I know it sounds maybe a little unusual, but we are a not-for-profit, a 501c3 status. I don't know if that,
Well,
and everything we do is in the mission, in the furtherance of our mission, which is the pursuit of, lifelong learning for our students.
well, I would advise, and as a chairman, you're certainly permitted to do this. Tomorrow, if you have the opportunity, call the local government center in Concord.
Yep.
Tell them who you are and tell them you have a planning question and go over everything with them. And they have lawyers on there with members, and those attorneys will give you advice. They will tell you what the law does and doesn't allow. And if it's, generally speaking, you'll get a straightforward answer. If it's something that's like, whoa, they found a gray area to talk about,
Yeah.
then they might go ahead and say, well, I would suggest that you meet with your own town attorney because there are. But I think with something like this, it would be pretty straightforward. And then we can, whatever you find out, or you can have Gus contact them, either way. And whatever we find out, then you can certainly let them know.
Yeah.
I
I think that would be beneficial for us, just, it's more of a timing thing.
Right, because when's the next CBA meeting?
Yeah.
The next CBA meeting closes, it closes
Today? No.
1 minute.
Friday.
All right, so we can call them.
And so if you find out tomorrow, call
Yeah, I
them
can
tomorrow
call.
and get in by
It
Friday.
closes Friday for a June 17th meeting.
Okay. So why don't you, can you come in tomorrow?
I'll call from office.
Okay.
I'll call from work, so.
And then you can give them what you need and, just explain to them you're the chairman of the planning board for Tilton and that you have a legal question.
I say, I'm not trying to be, I
understand.
And then that way, whatever you find out, you can let Gus know and she can call the school and let them know.
yeah, I mean, if they say, hey, it's a school, I'll agree with it. And,
Yeah.
But to me, it has two potentials.
Yep.
It's a school or it's a privately run facility.
Okay?
I think your point about notifying the neighbors is excellent.
Yeah.
That's why I already reached out and knocked on the doors of all the abutters. And so what I'm saying is I concur with your idea of letting the neighbors know,
Mhm.
in that scenario. But certainly,
Right.
we've informally, I know it's not formal, but
Right.
informally we've already done that.
Right. I don't know if any of them are rental properties and then, that might be.
Well, one's an apartment.
Yeah, they're four rental
Yeah.
properties.
Isn't it part of our responsibility to make sure that the neighbors are informed when something is changing?
That's why we have a public hearing.
Yeah, well, we have public hearings sometimes, but it depends on what it is too. Generally speaking, if you're just doing something in a field, no, you're not building buildings or anything like that, then that wouldn't necessarily have to site plan. But, whereas this is going to be a permanent fixture, the field will be there and it will have bleachers, and so you could say, well, why don't we site plan it? That way all the neighbors come in, everybody sees it, and the town has a formal copy of what you're doing.
We put a notice in the paper. It's kind of antiquated.
No, still do it.
Yeah.
You have to.
Yeah, it's required by law.
Are all the, School Street, are all those owned by you guys?
Nothing.
Everything,
Not all of them.
Yeah.
The first
Jones.
1, 2, 3, 4, 3 are
Yeah.
on the right-hand side. Howard Jones owns that.
It's a stone,
Right.
it's a
yeah,
stone.
they built that nice stone wall there.
Across
Mhm.
the street, we own 82 School Street here. And then there's, I think, the house by the side of the road we
Right.
don't own, and the
Right.
one right next to that we don't own, but we own the rest of them up to the
Yeah.
corner and on.
I was gonna say, you're
Across the
mostly your own butter. I mean, you have a few.
Mostly, not across the street, continuously.
They have a little bit less of an impact over there than they do over here.
Over on the,
Yeah,
across the street.
where the field's gonna be built, I think there's definitely more of an impact on the neighborhood.
Yeah, because it's further on.
What's the distance you have to go to notify?
Just,
They advertise-
Direct
just
abutters.
Direct abutters.
Direct abutters, yes.
yeah, you fall down the street, take it out, and that's it.
So, I just think that's just due diligence.
Yep.
So
So will those people across the street even be notified?
The people over here, yes,
Here,
Across
across
the
the street on
Okay.
that
no,
side.
yeah, you have to cross the road.
Across the street, yeah.
You take it out.
Anything that faces your property all the way around, you know, that would line up with this property, and roads don't count.
Right.
You know, so,
And hey, we may get no one to show up, but they had their opportunity.
right. Okay, so,
What is the submission deadline for the next planning
Planning,
board?
The planning board is for the June 11th meeting, no, that was over. The June 25th, the submission date is June 7th.
What was the other one? June 7th?
Hmm?
What was the, what?
The June 7th is the closing date for the June 25th planning board meeting.
right,
And for the for the ZBA, it's May 31st for the June 17th ZBA meeting.
Okay.
and.
But we may find out tomorrow that they don't need to go to ZBA, so.
Okay, well, why don't we get a number that you can call, so that we
Yep.
can let
I'll
them
get it,
know?
I'll get it after the meeting, or whenever.
Well, I mean, a number that they want us to call.
Oh.
I'll call,
I think if you let Peter know.
Do you wanna call me?
Yeah,
286-1710.
how do you spell your name, Peter?
Peter, P-E-T-R,
Mhm.
Saliba, S-A-L-I-B as in boy, A.
Okay. Thank you.
Do you have an email address too?
Yes,
What's that?
it's P. Saliba @tiltonschool.org.
I would just email it to it.
Yeah.
Just 'cause.
and would you like us to delete that on the film?
That would be great.
Okay.
I don't want anyone to know that I haven't heard of our donors clothing company.
I can't delete.
No, but Tim can.
He doesn't.
No, it's okay.
Are you sure?
I'm positive Chris is,
He doesn't do it.
he'll laugh.
Back in June. Oh, we're down to 1.1 million.
Okay, so hopefully we'll have an answer for you tomorrow.
That would be great. We really appreciate you guys giving us a preliminary look on this. Appreciate all your help.
That's it, exciting.
We want to be good partners in this.
Thank you very much.
Okay?
Thank you.
Thank you.
That's you.
That's it.
Across the table, line things up.
Do we need to take,
Thanks again.
do we need to take 5 minutes?
Bye.
Does anyone need to stretch their legs, use the ladies' room, men's room?
I'm not holding them up anymore.
All right,
So he knows, huh?
all right. Moving on to number 2, a conceptual discussion with Country Meadow Manufactured Home Community for subdividing house from the mobile home park.
Yes. Thank you for taking the time. I don't have a board to put on the easel. Can I just lay these out? I did bring 2 copies though, so hopefully I can set one at each end of the table. There you go.
That was so the other day. Okay.
Yeah, the field will be right here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's fine, I can
So
see.
basically, you're just taking the hot,
Yeah.
you're taking the house off.
Yeah, basically what we want to do is separate the house from the manufactured housing community. It's 2 separate uses, and basically what we're doing right now is we're renovating the home, and then we want to sell that, and then the funds that are generated from the sale of that will actually be used to beautify and
Right.
to reinvest within the manufactured housing community, so.
Which is basically what you said to us when you came.
Exactly, yeah, I'm just fulfilling exactly what I had said. The question is that the regulation requires the 3 acres of dry land for the subdivision. Well, believe it or not, and unbeknownst to me, and wetlands delineation is something far beyond what I understand, because they're saying that essentially this whole area is basically all wet. If you go out there, it's all a nice beautiful field, but it's considered wetlands. So we've only got actually 1.269 acres of actually stuff that's not considered wetlands. So what I'm proposing to do, and that's why I'm not sure how to go about doing it, but instead of only splitting off a 3-acre lot, I'm proposing to split off a much bigger lot, 7.259 acres, but I don't know how to do that and or what the process would be, if it's a special exception or a variance or what, to try to get approvals to do that, even though that it says I need 3 acres of dry land, which we just don't have, even though that whole area is dry. Now, the barn and the house and the garage and everything has been there for, 100 years, including the septic systems and the leach fields. So obviously, this can never be re-subdivided again. But, I just basically want to separate the uses because, one's strictly residential, the other one's kind of more of a manufactured housing community. So I don't know what the process would be, so I guess I'm looking more for advice and what the steps would be to make that subdivision happen.
Now, is this shown as the 7 or as the 3?
No, this is, this whole area here, this blue line and then the rock walls would be the 7 acres, yeah. And then it shows the setback, and actually there's a piece of the house that falls beyond the setback as well.
Right.
From the piece.
So if you could do the 3, where would it go? Do you know?
If I was gonna do the 3, my original thought was to do the 3 acres around here, and then I was gonna actually retain a right-of-way and use the barn, and so I could have that with this.
Right.
So that's what I really wanted to do, but when they told me that it was all wetlands, I knew I couldn't get away with doing that. So I figured, well, I'll just, give more than the 3 acres, more than double the 3 acres in the subdivision instead. And then I'll just, do something up here for equipment storage or whatever.
When you say when they told you, when did you have a wetlands engineer go out and?
Yes, yeah, a
Okay,
wetlands
alright,
engineer
okay.
actually did all this delineation.
Alright,
Because I had Brian Crockett, he's the surveyor, he did all the surveys. And then when he was out there, he talked to Augusta and she told him, what the regulations are and so forth. So that's when he had the wetlands guy go out and do it.
Well, that was a big surprise, wasn't it?
What's that? That it was all wet?
Yeah.
I know, there's a pond over here. I said, yeah, that's wet. But the rest of this is,
It happens all the time.
yeah.
The whole town is wet.
It's, I mean, it's a nice, big, beautiful field. I was like, geez, I can't imagine that's wet. And when they told me that, I was completely surprised.
Expanding something that feels wet, that won't be delineated as wetland.
Because even in the spring, I mean, I was walking all through there, and the only thing I found was ticks. I didn't find any
No,
water.
they found you.
They found me, they sure
Is it
did.
a vernal pool or is it a legitimate year-round pond?
What, this little pond here? From what I understand is the old owner dug that out, and he said he dug it out to like, I don't know, 15 feet deep. So, there's a pond in there, there's like a nice, I don't know what the bird species is, like a crane or something that's living in there. It's, it's a nice little spot in there. That's why I figured it's beautiful to split that off at the farmhouse. It's got the nice field out there and stuff.
Yeah.
So we're renovating the house with the anticipation of subdividing that off and selling that separate.
Gus, I'm having a hard time remembering. Is there anything in our zoning that talks about the requirements, or is it all in the subdivision? The requirements of no wetlands, or you have to have
When they subdivide,
minimum lot size?
yes, 3 acres, and you have to subtract the wetlands.
Right, I know that, but does that come from our zoning, or is that strictly in the subdivision?
Oh,
I'm trying to
I thought it
remember.
was in the subdivisions, I may be wrong.
I guess the reason I'm asking is because if it's in the zoning, then he's required to go to the ZBA. If it's in the subdivision, the planning board makes the decisions when it comes to
The subdivision.
subdivision, not the ZBA.
Ew, won't put the different-
But I can't remember for the life of me.
Yeah, the total parcel size is 52 acres, so it is actually a
Yeah.
pretty good chunk that we're taking off
Yeah.
there.
Yeah. Okay, wetland survey. I know it's in there, I just can't remember where.
School Street.
You want Sherry Land Park.
Yeah, yeah, that's sure.
Never knew that for years, sorry.
Yeah, it's Country Meadows. I don't want to be associated with Sherry.
Country Meadows now.
Sorry.
Is it officially
Not
changed?
Sherryland.
It's
Sherryland.
officially changed, yeah, and actually, we've got the street names officially changed as well.
Yeah, but we're still gonna mark the buildings, but.
Still,
What are
yeah.
the street names now?
It's Country Meadows coming in, and then what's called Wendy Circle here is now Clover Lane, no, Clover Drive, sorry. And then this upper section here is called Sage Drive, and then this is Lupin Drive. This one is, I forgot the name of that center one, I'm sorry. And then this last one is Astor Drive.
Yeah, what is that one? I got it.
We named them after Country Meadow flowers, just to kind of, keep it all the same and get the, the names of people out of, out of it.
Are those has again?
What's that?
Primrose.
Primrose, that's what it is.
Well, right now I'm going to the
I should have
wetland
brought a
section
copy of
of the
this.
zoning, and then I'll go back to the subdivision. I know that it's in here. For years, we've always said you have to have minimum acres with no wetlands.
See,
Where-
this
where
is-
was
this
it,
is
Sandy?
the
I don't know, I
street
haven't
name.
found it yet.
I thought you found it.
No,
It
I
says,
have a church there.
where strict
No,
conformity of
it's a cemetery.
subdivision regulations would cause undue hardship or injustice to the owner of the land, a subdivision plan substantially in conformity with these regulations may be approved by the board, provided the
Right.
spirits of the regulations, public convenience, and welfare are not adversely affected.
right, but what we have to make sure of is where does the minimum
Pretty tight in
lot,
there now.
Hmm.
where
There's
is
stones
that?
dating back to
Don't
early
know.
1700s.
Yeah, I went by it last year.
I drove down there the other day and I went down by where one of the houses was occupied and I went to do this drop off. It just really dropped off. I don't think you were supposed to go through there, but I dropped off anyway and drove on out. Looked like the road had washed out. I went
In the community?
Yeah. I went to the beautiful view, which I guess is here, right?
But along this road
Yeah,
here?
I came here, and then I think I came down
What you
here.
looking
Yeah.
for, Cindy? Where it says no park can be.
Because there are people that live here.
Minimum
Yeah,
lot
there are,
size,
yeah, there's a-
can't have-
there's
I think I
It
came
says
down
here
this, and it
14.
drops off, so
Never
it's
drive
really
4.2.
steep.
No part of a
Doesn't that
wetland
drop
may be
off pretty
considered.
good?
Yeah,
as
that
part of
one's
the
a little
minimum
steep.
size.
Yeah.
14 point what?
14.4.3, I mean, .2.
It's gonna go to be.
Okay, okay, so
Yeah.
this is in our zoning.
It's in the zoning.
Okay, on page 57, no part of a wetland may be considered as part of the minimum size required of any lot.
Okay.
And you can't give us 3 dry or upland.
No, there's no way to do it.
Even though you've given us this huge lot, most of that lot is wet, so in this particular district, it's 3-acre zoning. So you haven't been able, as you can see, you've got 1.269 dry land but the whole lot is 7.259.
Right.
So in my opinion, because it's coming out of the zoning regulations, it states that will require you to go to the ZBA. If you're looking for a variance, you take this with him, Gus can help you with the application. You explain everything to him and say that you've compensated by giving more acreage, but the fact that it is existing, all of this is already there, and I know that it is, but because you don't have 3 acres of dry land, it will require a variance from the ZBA.
Even if it's, I mean, because and it's splitting multiple uses right now, by cutting that off, that doesn't.
That would not make any difference because it's there, it's grandfathered to be there, just like the mobile home park. They're both permitted uses in that district.
Yeah.
So those are not issues. The only issue that's there is the fact that you don't have enough dry land to put with the house.
Right. So that'll require, so what's the likelihood of, I mean,
I do not want to say to you that they will or they won't approve it. They
Right.
look at each case on its own basis.
Yeah.
It will be up to you to go in and show them what it is you want to do and say because, like you told us, because you didn't have enough uplands to make a lot, you've given more properties, so it's going to be a 7.25 acre lot,
yeah,
but it doesn't have the required land for a legal lot without the variance. And you just explain the whole thing to them, just like you sat here and explained to us, and then they will make a decision regarding it.
okay,
That there
I
were
mean-
pre-existing things, like the
Yeah,
pond and
it's
everything.
Right.
The times
pre-existing.
of years that you walked it,
Yep.
there's no standing water, that,
Right.
that sort of thing.
okay.
And the fact that most of the people that are on that board are familiar with this property, and they will probably be surprised to hear it's got as much wetlands as you were.
Yeah, I was amazed.
Yeah, so, but, because it's in the zoning, the one thing, the planning board does not have the authority to do, go against or give any consideration to what's in the zoning. That is the ZBA. I mean, if it were strictly all in the subdivision, then we as a board could contemplate and, say, well, yes, he's doing this, so that would make up for this. But we don't have that.
So I go to the ZBA and they either grant or deny the variance. If they grant it, does that mean the subdivision is approved, or then do I gotta
No,
come
then
back?
you're gonna come back
Then you're
here.
coming to us.
Okay, so is it's not possible to do the other way, where it's an approved subdivision pending with contingencies upon zoning approving it, approving the variance?
Well, for us to approve it, conditioned upon a ZBA approval, then that means that it's not approved if they won't give you the variance. So generally speaking, in cases like this, usually your quickest meeting to get to would be the ZBA and then get on the schedule for the planning board following the next ZBA meeting.
Okay.
And I believe you could do that.
Okay.
What you can do, I don't know if Gus has ever done it, but I did it when I worked here, is you can have a joint meeting of both boards.
I've never done that, nope, I haven't done that since I've been
It's easy
here.
enough to do, but I'm just saying, you could schedule a joint meeting with both boards, and we could all hear the same thing the same night. Now, if the zoning board finishes with you and they approve your variance, then we would just continue right on with the site plan, or the subdivision.
The only thing about having a joint meeting with the ZBA is is Tuesday nights.
They what?
They have something, they meet on Mondays now.
I know, but I think if you check with them, that you probably could get a Tuesday night out of them, because things are over for the summer.
Oh, okay,
But, you'd have to talk to the chairman.
okay.
Do they meet monthly, is that?
Yeah,
They meet once a month.
monthly.
Okay.
Once a month. And their next meeting is, their next meeting is June 17th, but the close date for the information is May 30th. But actually, I could hold it out a little bit because I only need 5 days' notice. So if you got it in the 1st of June,
Okay.
you could do it.
So, I mean, I haven't gone through it, but, I mean, with this plan here and then information I get on this, is that pretty much everything for?
Yes,
Or is
I
there a
would
lot more
say,
required? Yeah.
Now, you just gotta fill out the questions there that ask, and there's a little sheet behind tells you more what you
Okay.
have to do.
and
Yeah,
if you have any
okay.
problems, if you come in, I'm sure Gus will
Um,
help you.
Yeah, she's been very helpful up to this point, so I'm sure she will. Okay.
We'll do anything, so get
So
that
you
part
have
going.
everything
I
on
appreciate that.
here. You have everything on here. It's, this is your,
Yeah, he's,
Mark that.
yeah,
so really, you're going to be bringing this into the ZBA,
okay,
and basically, like I say, you're gonna tell them everything you told us.
okay.
And just answer the questions, and it's
Yeah.
basically, the
Yeah.
questions are just kind of what you said already.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah,
Okay.
I'll go through this, I'll fill this out.
Yeah.
And then
And I'll
in
help
here
you
it
with
says
the
how many
abutters.
copies I need to bring and stuff like that, or?
I think 3.
Three.
copies?
And I
Okay,
need
so
a
I'm thinking-
small
I
one.
wasn't sure how
Kevin, I
many to
need
bring.
11 by 17,
Okay,
so I
Right.
can send it to the board
But
before.
with the big
Okay.
ones.
Yeah, with the big ones, yeah.
Sure,
I
yeah.
need one.
on a
11 by
board to put on an easel, or like this is fine, or?
Yeah, this is fine.
That's
Yeah,
fine.
Okay,
But like I say, I think if you do something like that, then that way, then we can look at it. Because I mean, in my mind, it's a very clean subdivision.
right, that's kinda was my thought
Yeah.
too, that's why I was surprised when I found out that
And I
it
think
was
what
so
Sandy
wet.
said, they will be surprised too.
Yeah, okay,
So, that's the best I can do for you.
okay,
Because we don't have the authority to go against what zoning says.
sure, yep, all right.
They're not as nice as us.
Oh, come
Stop
on,
it.
you're killing me.
Oh, they are.
No,
We'll be fine, all right, perfect.
they're nice people.
Okay.
I was gonna say, they're just as nice as we are, but you ain't really that. Except that chair. I don't know that thing.
The last person is getting out of therapy next week, so it'll be fine.
All right, good.
Okay?
Thank you.
All right, thank you, I appreciate it.
Yeah.
So,
We'll be talking to you.
okay,
Okay.
tomorrow?
Tomorrow's fine.
Okay. I'll give you a call in the morning sometime?
Sure.
All right,
All right.
sounds good,
All right,
thanks.
see you, Kevin.
Have a good night.
Thank you.
Okay.
Did we take 5 for anyone? No. All right, moving on. Last week, we couldn't approve the April 23rd minutes because I had to abstain because I wasn't here. And other than that, we didn't have a quorum to do that. So, yeah, so
Blame it on me, 'cause
I guess I'll
Obviously, you're the only one that wasn't.
entertain the motion to reopen or look at the minutes of April 23rd.
I gotta find this first. I got this one.
But then you weren't here for last time. Because you weren't here for the last, May 14th. Without you, we wouldn't have a quorum. We wouldn't have a quorum to approve the
We didn't do
23rd.
them, I thought we did.
No, we were going to, but we
went through
couldn't.
and we, made a couple corrections, but then he wasn't going to vote, so we decided to wait until the whole board was together.
Oh,
So all we have to do is make a motion to,
Yes, so I'll make a motion, we approve the minutes of April 23rd, 2013, as they were corrected.
I second that.
All those in favor?
All right.
I abstain.
those approved. And you have the corrections that we made on those, right, Gus?
Mhm.
So
I
which
believe
way
I do.
stays?
Okay, now, I'll make a motion that we bring the minutes of May 14th.
Who seconded that? I was like writing here.
Gee,
Jay, okay.
May 14th, 2013 for discussion.
I'll second it.
I'm just gonna break it all these things.
Where's your new map?
Huh?
Where's your new map? Your purple one?
No? Oh, I will keep it.
Just for a clarification point on the last bullet on page 1, where it says, I had our traffic engineer, could we put the name in there?
Yes, we should.
I
Ms.
don't know if
Duquette
I don't
and-
remember if I remember what she said. I don't know if I got the traffic engineer's name.
No, it said, I had our traffic engineer
Oh.
review.
Ms. Duquette
So just,
Ms. Duquette, okay.
yeah,
just for smoothness of
Had
reading.
their
Okay.
had their traffic engineer,
Mm-hmm,
engineer review it.
okay.
It's a picky thing, but if 5 years down the road, somebody's reading it
Yeah,
and wants
so,
to,
who's I?
Okay. You're right.
It's there in 7 hour, huh?
Yeah. Okay.
yes, Rich just pointed out paragraph on page 2, third paragraph up from the bottom, the board asks questions, should be a.
Yes, with an S.
Thank you.
Ask questions.
We only asked one.
Hmm?
We only asked one.
Okay, so ask a
No.
question.
One or the other.
A question, okay.
Choose one.
could also just say, the board asked about the type of signage that would be planned.
Yep.
Get rid of that pesky little question.
Question, yeah. That's what I'm gonna do. It's out of there.
It's going in across from the police station.
Just a capitalization thing, but
Which one?
on page 2, about halfway up,
Across from.
where you have the bullet points, the paragraph above that, it just, in that second sentence, it asks for dental should just be capitalized.
Oh, yeah.
Just a,
Yep.
just a
Oh, yep,
nitpicking.
yep, you're right.
Nitpicking.
Another section, Aspen Dental.
Just capitalized dental.
Oh, okay.
I'm not getting it.
That was me, no, I'm not playing footsies with you.
Oh, you are too.
I was gonna find it, maybe I was playing with you.
Is there any other?
I didn't have anything else.
No, I didn't. I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of May 14th, 2013 as corrected.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I abstained.
2 abstentions,
Who abstained?
Jane and Rich. Rich will be here.
Kind of prove yourself when it's coming back.
That bothered me about that, I didn't.
What do we got here?
Who seconded that motion? Garrett. Who seconded the motion
I think Eric did.
Oh, to open it or to
to
vote?
approve it?
Oh, Judy?
Judy? Okay. I'll just pick one.
Just nod your head.
Mikey, wait.
Moving on to correspondence and any other business. You got all set? Our first one is a recording of an easement plan tax map U2A lots 2-18, or is it 2 to 18?
2 to 18, I
2
think.
to 18, and U2 lot 43, Winnisquam Resort condominium for the town's records. Do I have to read this into the record or anything?
What is it now?
It's the Shalimar, the Winnisquam condos across the Shalimar. They did a lot, they're doing a boundary line they did a boundary line adjustment inside their little condo thing. And they just sent it in for our records.
Informational.
It's informational, basically.
Okay.
I'll just put it away, but
All right. Approved DOT driveway permit for single-family residence on Silver Lake Road. This permit authorizes no paved access to be used as a single-family residence. And I don't know where it is. Silver Lake Road.
it's for a lot that the people are gonna build a house on.
All right. Approved DOT driveway permit for 14 Clark Road for paving. I actually think, did we have that last time?
That was
And
in
that
there,
was
yes.
Okay.
No, that was this is an approval, the other was an application.
Oh.
Oh, that's right, okay.
Yeah, that's already done.
I was done
That's
with the
done already,
application.
Approved DOT driveway permit for multi-business drive at 456 Laconia Road.
That's where CrossFit was going in, up where Amish barn is.
Okay, yep.
You asked her to get that, so
Yep.
she did.
All right. Email from James Morris, owner
Oh,
of
yeah.
property at 15 Cedar Street, who would like to add an additional use to do maintenance and repair of motor vehicles at the site.
15 Cedar Street?
This-
Yes, where Daniel's Artesian Well was,
Yeah?
he bought it, now he wants to do automotive repair there. Maintenance and
Shall I read the letter?
yeah, go ahead.
Dear Augusta, this is James Morris. I own the property at 15 Cedar Street, Tilton. As you know, the property is located in the present village residential district that has been used commercially for many, many years, and its commercial use is grandfathered in. When I purchased the property, I received permission from Tilton allowing me to use the property in connection with my logging business, including maintenance of trucks and equipment. I would like to add an additional use, and I wanted to check with you to see if I need a letter or the like from the town covering my additional use. In particular, I would like to do maintenance and repair of motor vehicles generally. I don't think this additional use will be any more intensive than the presently permitted use of the property. Can you please confirm that this additional use is okay? There's a note that this is located in the village district.
Yeah, I kind of added some stuff there, and maintenance on vehicles is not allowed in the
Well,
village.
No, it's
we
not.
didn't, that's not what his original, he was just gonna, was store some of his equipment there.
Oh, well, that's
That was-
what, that's what he said at the time of sale, and he came in and got a letter. Remember, he came in and talked to, the realtor and everybody came in and talked to, not the board, but and because he wanted to just have his logging equipment stored there, like Gary stored his well equipment there, his well drilling equipment, trucks, and,
I would say, no, we can't do
No,
maintenance
you can't.
there.
no, can't do general car maintenance there,
There's
no.
four unregistered vehicles parked there.
Yes, there are. I walked down, as a matter of fact, I was gonna bring that up tonight, because I walked down there today for this whole purpose of seeing how many are there. Because we've said it before, and there are 4 there now.
You call and talk to,
Al.
Al and tell him there's 4 unregistered vehicles on that property. That is a definite no-no. You know that, right?
We know how that goes.
Yeah, but we brought this up before, and I don't think anything's ever been done about it.
Did you tell him that there's 4
He
unregistered?
was told before.
Well, do
What
it
is our
again.
best methodology to talk to him about these things? Should we be emailing him and CCing the rest of the board so that we all have a record
Yes, you
of-
can do that. He's always saying it, put it in writing. So I would say, email him and just CC the board, and that way the board knows. Or CC Gus and she can send it to the rest of the board, whatever would be comfortable. But, you know, if he wants it in writing, we'll put it in writing. It's just like, you know, anything. And, I have my own issue, and I feel that I can't say that he hasn't gone out and checked, but I have decided, I have,
Wait,
Do you want me to,
yes, please.
Go on, not.
Moving right along. DOT to hold a meeting on June 6th at the Tilton Town Hall
Right.
for input on bridge repair and installation of scour remediation countermeasures at piers 1 and 2 on both sides, I-93 northbound and southbound over the Winnipesaukee River and railroad between towns of Tilton and Northfield.
Right.
That's at 6:30 PM on Thursday,
Yeah,
June
upstairs, be part of the selectmen.
with the
meeting.
formal presentation at 7 PM.
Right.
In anticipation that the selectmen council's plan will be in attendance.
Are you sending notices out, Gus,
for what?
about that?
No?
Okay.
Right,
June 6th,
so. moving
I
on.
The
can.
selectmen's meeting, just come to selectmen's meeting.
Oops.
okay, okay.
Starts at 6:30, they'll do the presentation at 7, so.
All right. Next is rescheduled Lake Region Broadband Stakeholder Group presentation for June 17th, 2013 at 9 to 11 a.m. at the LRPC Conference Room in Meredith, New Hampshire. This is Lake Region Broad, would like to make a special presentation about leveraging broadband to grow New Hampshire's economy. June 17th, 9 to 11 in the morning. No meals mentioned.
Sense in going.
No sense in going. All right. Email received from Nick Canzano concerning the discussion he had with the board on May 14th for the flea market and camping out Mr. Chaley's
Shaylee's.
property along Route 3. It's at the top. Okay, I'll start with the first. Do I just read all 3 of them? Let's see. One, May 20th, Nick, the conceptual
We all
plans.
got, we all got
Yeah, we all
copies
got
of it.
Yeah, I sent them to everybody
We
today.
got them.
Okay. All right. So that's all on to that one.
Or is it 10, few minutes?
Time to adjourn.
He felt that, he felt that the meeting was,
Well, his.
Done.
There was nothing mentioned about site plan to be done. It's in the minutes.
It's in the minutes, but I didn't see it. I rewatched the tape today. I think everyone should rewatch the tape. And
just said it was it's permitted in that area, but it didn't say, and he knows better. I mean, he's been on the board, he knows the conceptual is conceptual and the site plan's a site plan.
But we didn't tell him at any point he had to go through with site plan. It was just kind of an informal chat.
It was a conceptual chat about what they could
Right.
possibly do with the property, yeah.
And we told him it was permitted.
Yeah. So he thought he was all set. He came in the next morning. I said, he says, oh, I'm set. I said, no, I don't believe you are.
Right.
You need to site plan. I said, camping for the motorcycle weekend is probably okay, but
Right.
for the rest of it, no. You need to site plan that out. And he's still arguing with it.
Well, I think part of what we need to know is, are they gonna do something to that field over there, which is going to make it a more permanent thing? So I realize that it's only going to be during warm weather that they will have events there on the weekends. But if they're gonna set the site up to do that year after year after year, I mean, these are the kind of things, and then today you said that you heard from DOT and they have questions about it, so he's gotta get back to them
Yeah,
anyway.
because they said it's a pretty busy road and they have questions about how many campsites they're gonna have, how many
Right.
vendors they're gonna have, and, they just wanna know. And
Right.
we don't even have that information.
No, we don't have that information,
We didn't
so,
have that conversation.
like I told you, tomorrow,
We
just
did
send
have
that to Nick and say, look,
Mm.
he wants to talk to you.
Yep.
So,
Because he didn't give any contact information or nothing, so. Okay, I'll email Nick on that tomorrow.
I guess
On
my
list.
only concern about the whole thing, and I don't know how the rest of the board feels about it, is that particular stretch of road is pretty gnarly. I mean, when it comes to the line of sight, granted, you're clipping the hill and coming down to where you do have a little room before you would be pulling into that lot. But my concern, and I guess one of the questions I had, which he really didn't answer, is are you going to be having people, pedestrians, trying to cross back and forth across Route 3 to say go to the green, what's
Green
that?
side.
For lunch or something like that and coming back over, because this could be an inherent problem.
Or Shiloh's or Meltaway or any of those, that could just really increase the traffic crossing back and forth. It's a scary area, I think.
Oh, yeah.
Well, it is, but, I mean, the only thing that would be there from his lot would be if they were going over to the golf course to eat. The rest of them are a little bit further up, but you're right.
They'd
If
be
you're on-
traipsing up and down the roads, what I'm
Right,
saying.
right. So this is why, I thought for the permanent part of what they wanna do every summer, that they should site plan. If we don't have something on record of what they're doing, then if there's problems with it, how do you deal with them when you don't have any kind of a plan to address with them? Because it could turn into, knowing the individuals involved, you would like to think that that will never happen. But in the interest of being fair to everyone, if you're gonna require some people to do a site plan because you're not really confident about how they're gonna deal with it, then you should require pretty much everyone that comes in and asks. And it would depend, but to me, the biggest problem that I have with this particular site is just the potential safety aspects of it.
Well, like we discussed before, if he's gonna do this year after year and we're requiring a site plan, we need to require a site plan for the other flea markets and for the winter and summer.
If they're going to
Farmers
be coming
markets.
year after year, you're right.
Yeah, that was,
You can't tell him he needs to and not tell the others they don't need to.
Right, you're absolutely right. As far as the one that has been leasing the Agway building, well, that wasn't her site, but I believe when she came in to do a conceptual, she told us at that time she was looking for a more permanent site, and we told her at that time you will be required to do a site plan, even if you're doing the same thing, if you're going to, because we know from year to year, she might move from location to location, depending on where she could rent
Although
space.
Dennis told me that he's really don't know if he wants to lease the Agway to somebody else. He might keep it for her for the winter farmer's market. But he has no definite plan yet.
That's nice.
So, anyway, but,
This Sunday they had CrossFit training out in the parking lot when I came by at 10 o'clock, and last night.
well, they also had the
On
job
Monday.
fair there.
Yeah, he leases it out to people, all kinds of people.
And they are having a car wash with their letter.
Yeah, they're having a car wash.
Yeah.
But that got canceled.
They've got
No,
moved
they're having it in June.
This,
This
yeah,
weekend.
Yeah.
this coming weekend.
They have CrossFit there tonight.
Yeah, they have it just outside, they all meet and just run the tires around and stuff.
And it's
All right.
for people in the snow.
Our next one is a DES wetland permit application, tax map U2/47, to install a docking system on Lake Winnisquam for a single-family residence.
Okay.
Louise, you want to go with that?
Can I see the boundary line adjustment, the one you read first?
Under easement or whatever. It's the easement, it's not, it's an easement.
I just want to see what it means.
Reach across the table.
It is.
Where is that located?
Which one, that one?
Yeah.
Across from Shalimar,
Across from the Shalimar?
that
The right
whole
side
group
is
of
one.
cottages down in there.
No, okay.
Okay, so they're not really doing a boundary adjustment.
No, it's just a easement thing type thing.
Okay.
It's an easement, not a
Yeah.
boundary.
Okay.
Master plan review.
Okay.
Well, actually, I don't know if it's under other business, I just had a couple of questions, I guess, about stuff.
Okay.
Over behind Shiloh's, the antique place, there was an antique vending going on this week, and is that a change of use, or does that need to be?
Behind Shiloh?
Yeah, that.
Well, no, he's Lucky Lenny's building, there's an antique dealer that went in there.
Oh, okay, no,
No,
That's a
okay.
retail, it's retail.
But also going Shiloh's, they, remember they had to build that permanent structure in the front,
and it got
and then
broken.
the RV came through, now they're using that, is that our concern, or is that the state's concern?
Well, they're not supposed to use it, but that's the state, that
Yeah.
has nothing to do
Well,
with
ever
it.
since they went through, the RV went through there, they.
Yeah.
I went there once the other day and I used it.
Did you?
It's easier to go in that way.
Yeah.
They'll probably leave it like that until somebody from the state stops by
Oh,
and slaps their hands, and then they'll put the fence back up.
But it's so hard to go in the other way. It
Yeah,
doesn't
it
make
is.
sense. The two entrances was so much better, but.
Yep.
And then the, down there at that used car lot down over here across from the high school, there's a
Yep.
landscaping business sign on there now too.
Yep.
Is that, I know we just had issues with that.
Yeah, but wasn't that there before?
That was there before.
No,
Sign
this is like,
hasn't-
this
they
is
just-
like.
they were kind of
What the
doing it.
business was, yeah.
I got
Yeah.
sure.
There was a-
They've been
was a
doing
car shop.
landscaping.
They have landscape supplies and they have a
Yeah.
landscaping, like a grounds business too, that's a brand new sign that
Right,
just went in
but
there.
now they're doing full-blown
They certainly are
landscaping
not
business
doing
out of
what,
there.
not doing what they talked to us about.
Well,
No,
there-
well,
I
I,
think,
it was site plan for a landscaping business years ago.
Okay.
years
We found-
ago.
yeah,
I was just
we found
talking
it
about-
from-
But the one we did the other day,
That's what you-
For the
they,
cars?
they weren't adding that into it, they were only adding in the timbers.
but they didn't have to add it in because they already had that.
They've been
Well,
doing
that's
it.
what, when I asked Pat
Yeah.
about it, that's what she told me.
But that wasn't brought in the discussion that
Right,
evening.
but, well, the problem that I see, of course, now, I don't know, the car dealer still hasn't come in yet, right?
Right.
There's a trailer there and there's one car.
You mean, they put his car, Al signed off the permit and to go to
Oh,
the
he did.
state, so I don't know where it lies with
Okay,
the
so then
state.
it probably
Yeah.
is in the process. So he got rid of what he was doing
I
on
guess
Silver Lake?
I guess that's what Al told him he had to do. Okay,
Okay.
now we have no lights, what's going on?
Well, all we can do is watch it. At this point, we know what we site planned, and we did give him a limit on the cars. But I would say that if you go by there and there's too much going on, in other words, the cars and the landscape stuff is all like getting into each other's way, then it would be perfectly within our rights to call him back in and say, now, wait a minute. Something's gotta give here. It's kinda like we put our foot down when the cabinet guy, wanted to just move in there, and we said, no, you've got a site plan. You know, he never did come in. I'm assuming that he didn't move in there because, you know, I haven't seen anything signs, I haven't seen anything that would indicate to me that he's also selling kitchen cabinets there.
I was stopped in there and I got a hot dog the other day just to see, and there was nothing else going on.
But I mean, we have to, if nothing else, the safety aspect of the whole thing, how much do you allow them to put on the site before you say enough is enough? You know, there is no running water, there's no bathroom facilities at all.
There's no utilities, period. I mean, I don't.
Right, there's nothing.
That's just.
Well, they must have electric.
I don't think they have.
Electric.
Do they have electric?
Yeah, they have electric.
All right.
She has
But-
computers and stuff in there.
Yeah. But they don't have, you know, let me put it this way. Any site plan that came in, you certainly aren't going to approve it if it didn't have running water and facilities, right? In fact, our own zoning says any commercial and residential building will have running and sewer. But in that particular case, they started out by just selling horse trailers.
Right.
No buildings, you know, it's just a lot, and they put horse trailers on it. And then they moved that little shed in there that was their office. And they were only there on a limited basis. Or if somebody called and wanted to look at a horse trailer, they would come and meet them at the site. And that was fine for a while, but then they started, what was it?
The landscaping and stuff.
Yeah, there was some railroad ties.
Yeah, but she started something else too. And she had that going, and then the state stopped by to check on her. And because she wasn't there all the time.
Well, she got a new state inspector, that's what happened. The old one retired, he was,
What was it that,
nothing, he just,
what was it he was inspecting?
he stopped by to inspect the trailers and the setup, and he called her and said,
That's
she said,
right,
"I'm
because
home."
she was issuing
And-
license for the
and, well, she can
trailers.
issue plates.
Yeah,
So he said, no, you have to be here. The old inspector didn't care. The new
Right.
inspector says she has to be there her hours that she's open. She has to be there now.
right.
So she has to be there.
So anyway, so now
And now she
has
doesn't
to-
smell, and she says, I don't sell a lot of, she says, I used to sell a lot of trailers. Now she says, I'm lucky if I sell 10 horse trailers a year, because people just aren't having them anymore. So she's
Oh.
looking into more businesses trying to make money too.
But that's fine, but it's a point to where, you know, if a site plan, like I say, came in and they were gonna put a building up, or turn a building into a store, whether, I don't know, a bookstore, whatever it would be, you would still require that they had running water and sewer facilities in that building. And now they've gotten away with it in my mind, by putting these little garden sheds on there to use as offices. And they have to leave the site. I assume they leave the site.
Well, the guys might not, but the girl probably
Yeah,
does.
that's it. That's-
She says she puts a sign at the door, gone for coffee, and she runs to McDonald's or
Yeah,
Dunkin' Donuts
Oh, no,
and
it's-
uses the
the way-
facilities.
The way it's set up now, he said there'll be cars in the front, and there's a pile of mulch in the front. I mean,
Yeah.
and that's obviously what they're selling, they're not gonna spread it on the property, but.
right.
I think I'll just drive by there tomorrow and see if I can buy a hot dog.
Oh, they sell hot
I
dogs
never
there.
seen this hot dog
They do,
place,
yeah, yeah.
She sells
And
hot
actually,
dogs. I
she's,
had one.
Kielbasa too, isn't it? I just thought I saw a sign with
I don't
Kielbasa
know,
now.
I just went in to check out things, and
Yeah.
They sell sausage.
So
Yeah.
all we can do is keep an
It's
eye on it, and if
$2.50.
it goes too far, then we're gonna have to
Thought that
just
was
send her a
expensive.
letter and say, look,
250.
What's
You know.
happening?
yeah, you need to do this, this, and this.
For one.
Yeah.
I'm really surprised, because normally, well, you say her cart has water on the cart. But, you know, generally speaking, any place that sells food of any kind, usually you're required to have a restroom, a public restroom.
Only if you seat people.
Only if you see people, yeah.
But even like if you go into, even if you walk up to the thing and order and you know, like, well, they even have seats in there though, so yeah, I could see that. But it's just the idea, so as long as she doesn't give you someplace to sit down, she doesn't have
She
to
has
have a
a picnic
bathroom.
table out there, hasn't she?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but it's not, there's special regulations, you
Yeah,
have to,
Right.
it's Dairy Queen.
like some,
Yeah, Dairy Queen doesn't have, they see
Yeah,
people,
some
but they don't have a
Dunkin' Donuts
restroom
don't
for
have-
people.
in Massachusetts, some Dunkin' Donuts don't have bathrooms because they don't seat people.
Mm. Well, I never lived anywhere until I moved up here to where they're so ridiculous in a way about what is and what isn't a public bathroom. Every place I've ever lived until we moved to New Hampshire, there were public bathrooms everywhere. Even if you went downtown shopping, there were public bathrooms along the downtown, you know, that just restrooms, that's all they were. You
Yeah.
could go in,
Yeah.
to the bathroom, wash your hands, and go back
Oh,
out
there's
to shopping.
Riverfront Park.
Yeah, Riverfront Park, we have bathrooms, you're right. But in New
That's a long
Hampshire,
walk from
like
downtown.
downtown Tilton,
You gotta go.
unless you're at a
Up north, I go to the
restaurant,
rest area.
where else can you go
Darn
in
if it's
and
closed.
use their facilities? Can't.
No, I know where every bathroom is
So
in every
it's
town.
either Polly's or the pizza place, no, next door, I'm sure, and then the town hall. Town hall gets a lot of business every day.
Well, you know, yeah, because Big Apple doesn't have a bathroom, and they've sent people over here to go to the bathroom.
Big Apple doesn't have a bathroom?
No, not for public use, no.
Oh, well, they do
Well,
have.
they
have a
their
bathroom,
employees.
but-
Neither
yeah, but
is
not for public.
Cumberland Farms, but you can go at Cumberland Farms. But the reason they don't have bathrooms for public use is because they're not handicapped accessible.
Yeah.
They do have bathrooms, but
Yeah, but
they
not for
have to
public
be
use.
careful about who
Yeah.
But
goes
they've
in.
sent people over here, and because they've come in, and they said, "Where's your restroom?" Big Apple, the store sent us over saying you had a public restroom. Okay, here they are.
But I mean, it's something to think about, but I also know that,
Well, even highways in New Hampshire don't have them.
I know.
There are very few rest areas.
And the rest area up in Sanford just, I think, put in a new septic
Yes,
system.
Yes, they did.
They did, didn't they? Yeah. I knew they were building up there. I don't know why the rest areas in the state of New Hampshire don't do what other rest areas in other states do by having McDonald's and those things in the
They're
rest
working on it.
areas
They
so
will-
that,
They will down in Oak City.
are they? Yeah.
Yeah.
Because that would pay for them.
What's his
Right?
face? Alex Ray. He's putting that in.
He is?
Yeah, but that's just
I mean,
right
because
now,
there's,
folks,
when you
that
go in other
they
states,
can't-
and you can get stuff when you go,
Well, I think
you
we
know,
should-
not a vending machine.
Right. Okay, you had other questions?
I just, one last one was the Greenside Restaurant. They
Yeah.
have a big, on the corner of the building outside, they have like a, it says restaurant and it says open and like flashes. I don't know if that's in signage or not signage or it's new.
If it's flashing, it's not in signage, but I don't know how long they've had it. Do you
Yeah, I
know?
don't,
I just noticed it for the first time, just
Mm.
the other day.
I haven't noticed that it was flashing. I know that they've had one. a sign.
They had a sign there. and
It's on
I
the
didn't-
corner of the building. It's physically on the building, but it's outside the building.
Oh, well, that must be new then.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, all
That's
up and down
Canasta
Main
all
Street,
that.
they have them flashing and nothing's done.
I was just curious.
Wow.
I have to drive up that way at night, so I just,
Mm.
shame on me for driving by at night. All right,
Yeah,
that was all.
Some of them are really wicked.
Yeah. Oh,
I know there's one there in Belmont, you know, as you're going up Route 3 going towards the Belknap Mall. That sign, that the lighted sign, the moving
yeah,
sign.
yeah.
Oh, I like that
That's a
one.
digital billboard.
But when they first put that up, I mean, that was blinding. You couldn't see the road anymore after that thing hit you in the face. But they've toned it down.
they, yeah.
Yeah.
But I like that sign because it gives you a lot of information.
Okay, that
If
was
you
all I
read
had.
it fast enough,
Yeah.
All right.
turn around and go back and look at it again.
Anything on the master plan review?
Let's see, well. We still needed to go over the economics and demographics. Did you do that? Remember that was chapter 3?
Yeah.
And it said, still need to be reviewed.
Okay.
so I don't know if anybody has, if you have
I've gone
reviewed
over
it.
them all, but
Um,
What chapter is that?
And Sandy, I did find this.
Oh, I had that chapter.
I put in this folder a long time ago. And it was the draft of the 2004 master plan update.
Yeah. Well,
It's been working on for, and it's got a lot in here.
yeah,
Who prepared it, which we gotta all do the whole thing again for
Right.
that. Now, did you put the tax rate, oh, that's, tax rate
there is a thing in there that goes over the tax rates, yes.
and the equalization, the new
Yep.
one? Is
Yep.
that in here?
It is, but I don't know how, if it needs updating or not, but you can get that information.
I know,
from,
yeah, I was just gonna look in that, cause I know what it is, but I get that now.
I was gonna say, Joyce can give you that.
Oh, I have it. I have to have it all the time.
Okay, the other thing is, so we have to, economic and demographics
Oh, yes, yeah, I'll have
has
to
to
put-
be reviewed, and what was the other one?
That was it.
Okay, it does here, it says, June 5th, you gave us a copy of the last chapter, but I printed a copy so you don't have to. Oh, okay, so it's gotta be reviewed. All right, so just that chapter, and we need to go over that and see if there's any changes. And you know, I hate to say this. What we need to do too, I think, is reread this whole thing. We've made changes to zoning. We've, adopted new things, and when I say just go over the whole thing, just to make sure that it's all up to date, that, there's not some current thing that just happened that maybe needs to just be updated. Because we want it, obviously, as updated as we can have it once we start printing it out.
I want to, yeah, I've got,
But like our parking regulations, I think in one of these, it does mention the fact that the town should consider adding parking regulations. Now, whether that has, I'll have to go through and find it again, and if it still says that, then we just need to say in 2013, the town did approve parking regulations for the zoning. Okay, we'll do economics and demographics and get that back to you. And then I'll just sit at home and start reading through each one and make sure there's nothing outdated in any that I read. If anybody wants to help me do that.
I'll help you do that. And I was
And,
gonna make a suggestion, is that we have one meeting
Yeah.
where we read it
Just-
aloud.
Actually-
All of us read a chapter aloud.
we don't have anything for June 14th. June 14th is open. There is
Then
no.
why don't you
June
take-
11th, I mean, June 11th.
So then leave that and just don't put anything on
Yeah.
it, no, and that's going to be a workshop for us to work on this.
Yeah, because I think we all should be, because once we get it all together and it's out in people's hands,
Yeah.
if there are questions they're gonna ask us,
We
we
need to
all
know.
need to be able to address them.
Yeah, and so, but we also need to go through, and if you see any references to like maps, a certain map or whatever it might be, highlight it, right where you see it so that we can make sure that Gus gets all the maps that we need to add to this, so that when we're making our printouts, we have all the inserts that we need as well.
Because I was looking through here and there was a ton of maps in this one.
Yeah,
But
so.
I don't know how old they are.
But I do know in these, if you read through, some of them will make reference to a wetlands map or, something like that, to where, well, let's call local planning or, wherever we need to call and get that map so that we can add it to our thing. And then that way we can start, once we've had a public hearing on it, I would suggest after we've had this meeting and we've gone over it, we're all happy with it, and we're ready to, then we can print some copies. We'll have a public hearing, so we'll have copies that we can hand out so that, they'll have a complete, and we'll have our public hearings, and then once we've adopted it, then, it won't take us long. We have all the equipment here, we can print out our own, and it'll be in, the spiral binding. And so it won't take long, it's just a case of finishing up these last little formalities. And once we voted to approve it, then the first copy has to go to the town clerk, she stamps it and puts it in so that it becomes official.
And then we'll give it to Tim to put on the website too.
Right. And then after that, I think everybody's life would be a lot easier if we just review, take one chapter every year, you know, review it and bring it up to date. The other thing I wanted to say to you guys, here we are, we're almost into June already. We have not talked about getting together, having some kind of a public hearing with the public regarding signage. So we really should get started on that before too long, because you don't want to be rushed. You want to be able to, you know, write it the way you want it. And so you end up with something that's much better than what we have now. It's just too gray and it's,
Should we meet with the selectmen and find out their,
why can't you announce a public hearing and if the selectmen want to
Okay.
attend, they can come.
why don't we should do that like ahead of time and then have the public hearing? So we're all on the same page, or no?
We're
Well-
on the same page, I think.
The other thing is,
Not really.
obviously, when we get ready to start, I will keep the selectmen up to speed on what's going on. And if we're gonna have public hearing, you know, have an open hearing with the public, invite the public to, I will let the selectmen know that we're going to have that. And that if they wanna come, they're welcome to. You know, I try and keep them up to date because I'm the liaison. I just, oh, we did this, this, and this, or we're working on this, this, and this, you know, whatever it might be. So, you know, and if they want to attend, then they're welcome to, but
Should that be something we maybe do in the second meeting in June, so that we don't get summer vacation time?
well, I was gonna say, I would think you'd want to start sending out, and, you know, advertise, and maybe downtown, we can get a list of the businesses, because we now make them all,
Yeah, but I don't have a list anywhere near complete.
no?
No.
But if we,
That's a very hard thing to
but
do.
I can, you can go into our assessing, and just, if you just pull up business, commercial, I can't just pull out commercial properties?
You can pull out commercial properties, it won't tell you what the businesses are.
Tell you who the owner is, but it won't.
It won't tell you who the businesses are. Some of them list them, but some don't. I mean, I've updated some as we've been working on them. I'll go in and say, it's not Al's Barber Shop, you know, anymore, it's so-and-so, you know, or
Yeah.
Anna's Bakery is now, you know, Tilton Barber, you know. So I've been able to change some of them, but we don't have everything from all the way from, I mean, we can't just do downtown. I mean, we gotta do from one end of
Oh, I
town to the
know, you
other.
gotta invite all businesses, you can't,
No,
I
you
mean,
can't.
we talk with downtown because downtown is in a more closed area and there's not the room that regular business
Right.
has for signage.
Right,
So that restricts the downtown more than it would normally.
but you have trouble with signage.
Everywhere.
The problem goes
On
from
the
one
whole
end of
thing,
town
yeah.
to the other end, that's,
So I don't know if we could do handouts and have somebody stop and, you know, pass them out to the businesses.
well, you know, on a limited basis, I think we could, but if you start at one end, you know, and we have done this before, I forget, I'm trying to remember what we were working on. Well, it had to do with something about the master plan. We started at one end of town and it would stop and just give everybody handouts, you know, we divided it up between 12 people, so each person didn't have to stop that many places. But you just went in and gave them a handout. And there was a survey with it. Yeah, that's right. It was a survey so that we could get a wide spectrum of the people and businesses that would
Well, there are
respond.
businesses other than Main Street too, though.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, and other than Route 3, there's businesses
right.
down side streets on
Yes.
Clark Road, Caleb Hill, you know.
Yep.
That's kind of hard to,
Well, you're
But
not gonna
everybody-
get 100% of them, but if you can get a big slice of your business, at least you have a pretty good, you know, across the board percentage of people who will give you opinions. And Whether the few that you might miss would have different opinions, it's hard to say, but I think it gives you a much better idea. If you just interview the people downtown, it's not going to be the same as if you interview the people that are along Route 3. So as long as you have, say, if just in the downtown population of business, if you get a wide or a big return from them, then you have a pretty good idea how they feel. But, you know, if only one or two show up, then all you're hearing is just their opinions.
Yeah.
So, you know, all we can do is, whether we want to hand them out or, I mean, that's the cheapest thing to do if we,
I can take a Friday. I have Fridays off.
Yeah.
and I'll be glad to.
so if we all take a section of town and just take our flyers and give one to each business that is in our section, that way it won't take any one of us that long to do it, and we'll at least get the word out. Now, if they don't come, that's their business, you know, but I don't know, maybe we can even come up with some kind of a questionnaire. If they don't want to come in, they can just mail a questionnaire back in.
Oh, that's true.
Could we,
Yeah.
I like the questionnaire.
Yeah,
I like the questionnaire too, but we gotta come up with the questions.
well, I
you
think
could- You could do like a Survey Monkey too, and to have people do it online,
that's fine.
and you know, just, you know, this way you can kind of compile it and,
Yeah.
and not get, you know, 100 responses, you can kind of get 100 on one piece of paper.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's fine too, that can be part of the paper that we turn out. If you will go to blah blah blah.com and take our survey, we're trying to establish, you know, what your feelings are regarding signage or, you know, whatever we're gonna do, and if they respond, that's great. I mean, most businesses, I would think, would have access to a computer.
But I think your response rate on something like that's very, very low.
It may be, I mean, I don't know, but if
I
we
think
do.
statistics will
Yeah.
bear that out.
Mm,
It's sort of like a mailing, you get very little response from mailings.
Right, especially if they have to put the postage back on it and send
Yeah.
it back. Well, you know, it's hard for me, as we all know, oh, excuse me. You have to have regulations when it comes to signage, or your community is just going to look like a free-for-all. Now, I know if you're sitting there talking to business people are gonna tell you, I need to improve my business, I need more signs. Whether signage, it gets to the point to where signage becomes like a blight. When you drive down Route 3 between here and, say, when Mosquito Bridge, the end of Tilton, how many of those signs do you really look at? Because first of all, Route 3 is a busy road. You're paying more attention to the traffic on that road, the traffic lights and whatnot. Do you really pay that much attention to the signage? I mean, I know there's signs there, but if they've got a new message on them or something, unless I'm stopped at a red light, I probably won't see what it says. Because I'm watching the guy in front of me who keeps braking now and, or whatever it might be. So, you know, to say that they need more signage, even downtown, I've already noticed when I go by the store down there, he's got stuff now plastered all over the side. I don't know what it's advertising. I don't even look at it. Because as you're coming to that intersection, especially in the afternoon, there's kids walking along, everything else. I'm not gonna sit there and read his signs.
Well, I noticed that the store that Steve and Mike used to own, the
Yes.
Blooming Iris, she's got a little sign that's handwritten on a piece of brown cardboard. Have you seen that?
No,
Because she has bracelets that are the in thing, Alexander, and
yeah,
some kind of bracelets. Have you seen them? They got a little charm on them.
I've seen
One of the
sign.
Tilton school kids was showing me, and it's a big rage around the latest thing.
Hmm.
And she's just got a piece of brown cardboard paper with saying, we have, come see it. You know, that's just tacky.
Well, it's probably put out there so that the kids, the teenagers, she's got more in, you know, and they look
tacky.
at it. Oh, I know
It's
it's
been there for a week.
Well,
She
she's waiting
still
for
has
her
them.
real official sign to come in.
It works.
Maybe. But anyway, I guess what I'm getting at is trying to come to a happy medium to where the community is not feeling assaulted by all the signs. Business is being given the opportunity to have signage so that people know their business is there without going overboard. You know, this is where you're trying to reach that happy medium to keep everybody happy.
Did you notice the new cutting edge graphic sign in Northfield? She did a delightful job. It matches the house, it's
Mhm.
very
Yeah.
tasteful,
Yeah.
it blends in, you still see it,
Yeah.
but it's very, very
Yeah,
nicely done.
she did a nice
I wanted to-
job.
But she had a sign up, and I wondered if the town made her take it down and redo it. She had it, when she first went in there, she had
Yeah,
a
she had a
sign.
different one. But
Yeah,
this
she-
one
yeah.
is very
Maybe that
nice.
was
I don't think
very
they,
tasteful.
I don't think they made her redo it, I think she wanted to redo it.
So,
Because she
anyways.
seems to be very hands-on with that.
Yeah. But I mean, the main thing in my mind is with the flashing, you know, and the moving signs, the digital signs. They are, without a doubt, the most, as far as I'm concerned, distracting things. And, you know, the police would pull you over if they, you know, went by and saw you like texting or anything like that. But isn't that big sign that's flashing at you, isn't that as distracting as anything might be going on in front of you? As far as what you're doing? I mean, it is. You know, I mean, the one case that we won over there was the fact that they wanted a reader board outside of MB Tractor. And we said no, because that's right there where you go from 4 lanes down to 2. And you're gonna look over here and read what the specials are today? Can you imagine the rear end accidents that are gonna happen, or the crunching in together? But, you know, I know that people get very upset with the planning board in particular, but they don't really give thought to the fact, or they don't wanna give thought to the fact that signage can be a great distraction, and it can be, you know, a cause of accidents. So we have to consider that, and I think our zoning has to consider that. But the zoning can be done in a much more simple, cleaner way without all
Yeah, this is
these,
hodgepodge.
yes. You know, our zoning before, the signage was very simple, very plain. The only thing that really needed to be added to it, because when we first came up with it, all these lighted and moving signs weren't on the market yet. But once that was added, there was really nothing else that was needed. It was like 2 pages compared to what we have now. So,
I like the idea of keeping it simple. We're country.
yes.
We're not city, we're country. You know,
Right.
people moving from the city to here want the flash that they had back
Right.
in the city. It's like,
And
it's
we
not
don't
what
want it.
we're about,
Right.
you know?
So anyway, we just, you know, to simplify that and make it something that is enforceable. You know, because what we have now, I don't think a lot of it is enforceable, because it's like it was written to leave ways to be able to prosecute people, or to, you know, too many gray areas in it, you know, nothing definite. Yes, this is what you can have, except for, get rid of all of that, so. Anyway, I'll climb back off my wagon. We just can't.
Satisfaction.
Is the
72,
25th of
so-
June too soon to get something like that organized, or is that?
Well, why don't we take this next meeting, if we can get, if you wanna send out some kind of a flyer, we need to,
You need
decide
to,
what,
yeah, you
you
need
know,
to
we
develop
can
the
come up with
flyer.
our flyer, and then we can print it up and be delivering it, and then I think that would work, either that or go for the first, well, July, a lot of people vacation.
July
but-
9th or July 23rd?
July, we only have 1 meeting in July,
Oh, is it?
and 1 meeting in August, and that's the way they've always done it, because
Which
it's
one?
a, it's a
Oh, you do?
vacation
Hey,
time.
this is news to me, I don't remember this.
Well, this way, because, you know, planning board people wanna take vacations too.
So I don't have to be here the 23rd of July?
No,
Well,
or August 13th.
so what do you do? Oh, you take.
I mean, August 13th 's the meeting, and July 9th 's the meeting, so that's all we've done.
Oh, okay.
We only have 1 in July and 1 in August.
Okay,
Then when September, we're back to the,
two.
I'll take out July 23rd.
So why don't we do that when we get together, after we
Whatever
read our
the August one
things,
too.
if we can
Yeah.
just kind of come up with some
The
kind of
second one,
design,
right?
what
Yes.
we
Well,
wanted
school
to
starts by
say,
then, so who
then
cares?
we can make copies and get them delivered. And then go for, I don't know if you want to do the end of June or you want to do the meeting in July. But if we're gonna do the meeting in July, then I think.
We could have it on another night, not our regular meeting night too.
Right, we
We
could.
could,
Have it to pick any night, so that that's all we're talking about that night.
except for don't pick a Thursday because that's already busy here.
Yeah, well, I can't
Well,
do the.
But, you know, another Tuesday, and
Yeah,
the
we
third
could-
Tuesday, we could do a third Tuesday.
Say that month we'll do the third Tuesday, so that all we're gonna be is just business and signage. You know, no conceptuals, nothing else coming in. Let's just have this meeting, hear everybody out.
And if there's no public, then we go ahead and,
Well, if there's no
Sure.
public, then we say,
So August 20th, no meeting.
so.
4 minutes behind.
But I think as long as we meet with them, and then that'll give us a much better idea, and we can get our signage thing written. We'll have a public hearing on it, and then put it on the ballot for it.
Okay, so we're meeting on the 11th for the workshop, correct? And then near the end of the month,
and then we still have our second meeting in June 25th.
Well, we'll just leave it there and see what. if
Yeah,
we-
see what happens, see
Yeah.
what we get.
okay.
It's happening at Tilton School too.
Yeah, they may
Yes,
want
right.
this new.
Yeah, we might have the Tilton School there, so. Okay, that sound like a
I'll
plan?
call too, because I'll bet we'll get two different answers.
Guaranteed.
If two people call LGC, they'll get two answers.
Well, so we'll just have one call.
Did you accept the motion to adjourn?
Can we make one?
We're gonna read over, we gotta do that last chapter.
No, it's fine. I'm good.
Oh, you're all good? You don't have anything else on
I
your
just said
list?
zoning regulations to do back.
Well, and we kind of talked about the signage thing,
Yeah.
the
Yeah,
zonage
at the
regulations.
same
Yeah.
I mean, there's others, I mean, eventually we have to have meetings on, you know, the gray list.
I'll
Yeah,
entertain a
oh,
motion to adjourn.
You know, you should give us a copy, a
I
new
know.
copy of our gray list, so
I'll
that
make
we
a
know
motion.
what
I
are the
will. I'll
things
get
to
one,
be
yeah.
thinking about
I'll
as far
second
as
it.
zoning changes.
Mhm.
I have a motion and a second to adjourn.
Yes?
Yes.
All those in favor?
Yes.
Aye. Opposed?
Whoop, meeting
Oh,
adjourned.
Rich abstains.
Yeah.
Aye.
I do.